The first part of the symposium will be in English, and I will be your moderator today. And, looking at the program, you'll see a nice drawn beehive here. And the beehive is, of course, a metaphor for the swamp, the field that we are going to enter today. It is an ambitious program, and my task here today is to make sure the time is kept, of course, and without wearing a beekeeper's outfit, also to make sure that nobody gets stung, because it's a very ambitious program. We have a lot to discuss today. So I'd like to ask Morten Rosenmeier to join us now. You promised to outline the field when copyright law and science collide. You're also the chairman of UBVA. So please, the floor is yours. Please give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you. In the last couple of years, it has been much debated whether we should have copyright exceptions concerning the use of works in connection with teaching, aka educational use. Many of you here represent authors and other right holders, and many of you have followed the discussion. So let me start by making one thing clear, namely that what we will be talking about this morning is not whether we need copyright exceptions concerning educational use. Basically, the system works fine when it comes to education and teaching. The Nordic system with extended collective licenses, aftalelicenser, makes it possible for teachers to use protected material to a very large extent, and basically everything works fine. What we will be talking about here is something else. We'll be talking about how well things work when it comes to using copyright-protected material in connection with research. And this is a completely different matter. You see, the thing is, as a researcher, you often need to use copyright-protected material as part of your research. For example, sometimes you need to photocopy a couple of pages in a book. And modern photocopying machines are actually quite cool, you see, because they have a button so that you can have the copy sent digitally to you as a PDF file. And this is very nice because if an average Danish researcher makes a traditional physical photocopy, he will probably lose it in about 2 minutes. Most researchers are so forgetful that they will probably lose the copy on the way back to their office. I would, that's for sure, and so would the rest of my colleagues here at the faculty. Most of us are so absent-minded that we ought to have been locked up many, many years ago. But now we can just press a button on the photocopying machine, and then we get a digital PDF sent to us by mail. And then we'll know where to find it. And that's a good thing, right? The answer is no, it isn't. Because according to the Danish Copyright Act, it is a copyright infringement. We have no provision in the Act that allows a researcher to take a digital copy of a protected work in the course of his research. Especially section 12 on private copying is of no use here. It does not make it legal to make a digital copy if you intend to use it as part of your work. The University of Copenhagen is highly ranked in the international university rankings. We are considered one of the finest universities in the world in some areas. And the researchers can't even use the photocopying machines. This is Pepper. He uses IBM's artificial intelligence software called Watson. This allows Pepper to understand natural language, and he cures people. Your doctor has given up on you, and then you call Pepper and tell him where it hurts. And then you wait a couple of minutes, and then Pepper will give you the diagnosis which your own doctor was unable to give you. The Watson software, which Pepper uses, does TDM. It means text and data mining. It means to conduct a digital search within a large quantity of digital data. In the minutes it takes Pepper to find out what is wrong with you, he goes through thousands of medical journals. The Watson software inside him reads them while you wait. In the blink of an eye, Pepper will study 200,000 articles in 20,000 medical journals. And this can save lives. For example, last year, a Japanese woman was suffering from an extremely rare form of leukemia. She was in a hospital in Tokyo, and she did not respond to the treatment she received. At one point, the doctors asked the Watson program for help, and 10 minutes later, the program made the right diagnosis. And in the meantime, it had studied 20 million scientific articles. Once the Watson program participated in Jeopardy. Normally, Watson is a nice and friendly program, but not here. It ate the other contestants for breakfast, and then it spit it out and ate and swept the floor with them. It won $1 million because for every question, Watson digitally searched 200 million pages of structured and unstructured content, including the whole Wikipedia. And no matter how brainy you are, it's hard to compete with that. And this is what TDM is about. An amazing, breathtaking technology. Incredible, actually. If one day the doctors finally cure cancer and the other terrible diseases which have haunted us humans since the beginning of time, I think they will use TDM. It is the next big thing within science, and just think about the scientific research results we can achieve with it. The bad news is that Pepper and Watson and other robots like them are basically copyright infringers. But as a starting point, TDM will often lead to copyright infringements, because TDM will result in the copying of protected material, and I think it may also to some extent involve communication to the public. And here in Europe, it will often too infringe the European sui generis database protection, according to the database directive. So if you want to use TDM technology on a larger scale, you basically have to get permission from the right holders who own the protected material which you want to search. And this is a very serious challenge when it comes to the use of TDM in connection with research, not only when the TDM is aimed at scientific journals, but also on other areas. For example, a whole lot of things are going on in the social media, such as Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn right now. Socially, as well as financially, all serious companies have a Facebook profile. And when a modern politician today wants to publish a message, he uses Facebook or Twitter. The social media are everywhere. I have told my children no Instagram at the dinner table. Or otherwise they film me, you see. And then they post the recordings on Instagram to demonstrate to their friends that I am the most painfully embarrassing daddy who ever lived. This has happened several times. I even suppose that several of you are visiting a social medium right now. I can feel it. Yeah, you are on Twitter, some of you. Oh yes. And it's quite all right. Be my guest. what is being said and done within social media is extremely important, and many researchers, therefore, quite naturally, want to do research concerning what happens within them. They want to map the habits of the users on Facebook and Twitter, and this will often require TDM, where the researcher uses a search engine to go through the media. But TDM directed towards a digital medium will often be a copyright infringement, unless you have permission not only from the social medium, but also from the millions of people whose posts you copy and study, and this is practically impossible. The EU Commission understands this, and therefore recently they presented a proposal for an EU directive on copyright in the digital single market. According to section 3, EU countries should now introduce a mandatory exception which aims to make text and data mining legal. But the question is how good this proposal really is. Among other things, it seems to some extent to allow scientific journals to use so-called DRM technology, that is technical mechanisms which prevents the search engines from coming into the journals. You can see for yourself here, this is the relevant provision. And there are other problems as well. For example, much research is made in research collaborations with participants located in different countries. And this means that even if a researcher is allowed to use protected materials such as articles in his own country, you can't be sure that the license also covers the use in other countries, and this impedes the ability of researchers to share protected material across national borders as part of research collaborations. And this is what we're going to talk about this morning. Sometimes copyright and science collide. Sometimes this collision leads to situations where the researchers either have to infringe copyright law or to give up their research within a specific area, and neither is good for society. So what should we do? Do we need copyright exceptions concerning the use of protected material in connection with research? Or should we do like in the US and copy their fair use provision? You know, the one which says that it's okay to use protected material as long as it is fair use? Or do we need something else? I don't know the answers to these questions, but I know that they are very important. We have invited leading international scholars to take part of the discussion, and I hope a lot of you members of the audience will also actively take part in it, because this is important stuff. Thank you very much.
So could you please, you said that you don't know the answers, but what will happen if we don't solve it? What are we looking into if these collisions keep happening?
It is hard to describe, I think, but basically we are creating a situation where copyright, at least in principle, forbids socially valuable research, and this is not a good situation.
And in the EU level, what do you see there? What kind of solutions do you see there?
I was hoping Professor Leifert would
I was hoping that you might give it.
Lina, I don't know.
No.
I don't know. I think it's a difficult question. What makes it difficult is also that it is hard at the present moment to understand to what extent this provision I showed you before will allow for TDM measures. It is hard to tell because nothing has been done yet. It's all on the abstract level, but it's important that we have these discussions, I think.
Okay. Okay, please give a warm round of applause for Morten Rosenmeier.